Welcome back to another episode on Motorsport Minute. Tonight, we're just getting ready for next weekend, December 3rd, Timeless's rules meeting. I'm gonna see some new faces. I have Brady with me again, and I have Austin, who's on the pod with us again. New to the pod today, but he is a part of the Timeless team, one of our head techs. He's kind of been there for us on almost all of our shows. So he's helping Timeless grow. That's kind of all this pod is going to be about, is what Timeless is, what Timeless does, and what we got going for 2023. We just keep adding events, which is great for us, hopefully great for the state of North Dakota and the surrounding states. Me and Brady started Timeless. It's our third year now.
Third year.
So we're on our third year. We've seen the Derby scene was kind of lacking promoters. As everyone knows, these small county shows usually use someone from the town on a free service. Yeah. And free things usually don't last very long. So we hopped in there, but we wanted to be pretty versatile, not just demolition derbies. That's why we've got into car shows. Arguably, I would say one of the better car shows in North Dakota. We hit 100 cars last year. A little over 100.
107 entries.
Yep. So we have that. We picked up another car show. Last year we did a mud run. So we're kind of all over the place. We contemplated doing some snowmobile drag races.
Tried.
I think in the future it'll happen. Just where the property is at, it's all based on landowner contracts, and a contract was already in place for 2023.
Correct. We didn't get ahead enough on that for 2023. So not to say it can't happen, but that's gonna most likely be a 2024 thing then, because we have to negotiate that at the beginning of this upcoming year for any of that to take place. So it'll happen ideally, but bear with us on that one.
Yeah, but I guess where I'm going with the whole thing is we touch on everything, not just derbying. We like kind of everything. It's just getting in there. We're not experts at everything. Most of the events we do right now, we're pretty invested in all of them. We're all classic car guys to some extent, and/or custom modified vehicles. I raced motocross for quite a few years. Been around snowmobiles, been around derby cars, mud pickups. So we're really kind of around most everything with an engine, and that's where we're taking this business. And that's why we brought Austin on board. One of the or a couple of the people you don't see, you probably won't see them very much, is we have a sales lady. She does a lot of our going out, reaching out to businesses, helping us grow events. We have two admin ladies, which would be the wives. So they got thrown into the position, voluntold, I guess you could say. Yeah. But, we've grown to a group of 7 pretty rapidly. I would say most businesses, as far as promotion companies go, probably aren't on that extensive of a growth rate. We've been doing pretty well. 2023, currently, we have 8 locked-in events, maybe a couple on the fence. But we can get into the derby scene, which is, where we excel the most, starting off with Washburn.
Yep. We're not going to go over any dates right now because there's still some leeway. One thing might shift one way or the other yet. Still some things we're working with there. What we can confirm are the shows themselves. Washburn, North Dakota, that one will kick off kind of the beginning of our runs this year for derbies anyway. After that, we will have Linton, North Dakota. Following that will be Dickinson, North Dakota, over on the west side of the state. And then we head back east to New Salem. And then our 5th show of the year is actually going to be up in Tioga, North Dakota, northern side of the state. And then following that will be our sixth and final show of the year, which will be Mandan. Now, some of you already know this if you follow us on social media and stuff, but we are running a point series this year. We got over $10,000 right now in cash and prizes. They're going to be coming into play in that for prizes, obviously, at the end of the year based on points. There will be points for separate classes. They're not going to run concurrent with each other, so vans won't be competing against trucks, and limited won't be competing against stock, vice versa. The classes will only be competing against each other. For that reason, we're not going to have, again, still a work in progress, but we're probably not going to have, compacts at every single one of our shows. Based off the payout that these venues have for us, there's just only so many ways you can break it down for one, or they want to have certain classes at their show. So there's a couple different elements that come into that, but again, all the more reason why we're not going to have anybody, one class is not going to be competing against a different one.
Yeah, and we have things for the points, tires, transmissions. We had a car that was sponsored. So haven't really decided which way the car is going to go, towards limited or stock. Obviously money, lots of tires. We got a lot of tires.
We got a lot of sets of tires
that were sponsored, which is pretty sweet. Everyone knows you go through tires quite a bit.
Yep.
Roof sign, as you guys have seen in the earlier podcast, we've had Nevada from 22 GFX Graphics. He is sponsoring a roof sign. Devil Dog, they were on an earlier episode. They will be sponsoring 3 transmissions. So and then a lot of the other ones are just money sponsors. There's going to be a lot up for grabs. Hopefully gets the drivers out again. Hopefully our stock rules get the older and newer drivers back in as well.
Bore sponsoring it with some
short round,
with some tires, short round
tires and towing. We got Jordan Simic with Mohawk Designs,
Mohawk Metalworks.
Yep. So he's agreed to help us out as well with tires and cradles and all sorts of stuff. So it's not going to be just little trinkets. I've had some people reach out already. Are like, I don't want a distributor clamp, or I don't want just little like $5 to $10 items. Most everything that has been, told to us is going to be large items. Cradles, transmissions, tires. That's not small. That's $600 for a set of tires, or $1,000 for a tranny, or $400 for like a lower with a front plate, or.
Yep.
So it's not little items. I think people are kind of skeptical on that, but they're all pretty big items. We're making sure not to match up sponsors, so sponsors aren't fighting for a spot. Two training guys or things like that. So It's been pretty good. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting year. Especially we got some of the larger venues in North Dakota, Dickinson and Mandan. They're some of the nicer venues, outdoor venues, that is.
Correct.
For North Dakota, and we did lock those down, so it'll be exciting to see who comes out and plays.
It's going to be exciting. Really, we got our rules meeting, like we already mentioned. Rules meeting's coming up on the 3rd at the AmVets in Bismarck. It starts at 4 p.m. If you're seeing this and you want some input into how rules are going to break down for certain classes, or something you'd like to see changed, or something you did see that you didn't like, or so on and so forth, come to the meeting.
And we get it. Not everyone can make it to the meeting. And shoot us a message. Message our Facebook page. Most everyone in the area knows Brady or I, or Austin. So just shoot any of us a message. We'll bring your ideas to the table. Because there is going to be, it's like any other meeting. The people that usually are outspoken will speak up, but the people that aren't, we won't hear anything from. And sometimes they are the ones that have something to say, or they want it to change or whatever. So
and they have some good ideas, just
And even
don't
if
know how to bring it up.
right, even if you
So-
do come and you don't want to be the guy that's speaking up, send us a message and we'll I'll bring it up in the meeting. That's definitely not an issue. But I think as everyone knows, the classes have been, as far as filler classes, they've been kind of declining.
Yeah, so something I wanted to touch on.
So, there's going to have to be some sort of big changes for 2023. We can't just. We've been fighting for all these guys at these venues for the last couple of years. We want compacts or whatever class, not just those guys. And the venue agrees, and then nobody shows up, or 2 cars show up. No venue wants to pay out $2,000-$3,000 for like a couple cars. So it's very likely we're going to move to a pre-registration for our filler classes, and if we don't hit, an allotted number, say 6 is the number, we might not have the class. It might dissolve, or payouts might cut in half, or there's going to be some sort of stipulation to it.
Right. A lot of that again isn't, that's not a timeless decision. That's the venues that are putting up this money to pay out these certain classes. If they get burned once on it, they don't want to have it again. And if they get burned, then they get burned twice on it, and now they really don't want to have it again. And when we go, to talk to these places, it's at the end of the day, these local communities that are putting up this money for stuff, at the end of the day, they got to make money back for something. It's a cause, it's a Lions Club, it's something of the sort, or even if it's not a club, and it is a business for them, that's just a bad business move to pay $2,000-$3,000 for 1 or 2 or 3 cars to show up, but doing so, you can only do that so many times before, no matter what the cause is, they go, okay, we're not going to do that class again because nobody shows up.
Right.
Compacts being one of them. All across the state last year, compact numbers were
Down.
We're way down. West side of the state, east side of the state. It's here, it's everywhere. That's one of them classes that nobody really came out and played last year. For whatever reason, everybody's got different reasons for what they do, but there's going to be a big year for that to see who wants to keep it around. Some of the places that that we work for have already voiced their concerns over that class after nobody getting them to show up last year. So we'll see what happens. But
right,
like Mitchell said, there's going to be some changes there on how that's approached, and most likely it's going to be a pre-registration basis. With that being said, if we do a pre-registration for some of these shows on filler classes, no driver's list would ever be released.
Yeah.
Ever.
I think we got a couple different ways we can get around it as far as to keep it private, whether if it's a private Venmo payment with a name, or private PayPal, or a message on our social media or cell phones, and a check in the mail, something. It's going to be private. Every year we get people calling, well, who's showing up to the show? It's pretty rare I tell anyone who's running, unless I know, it's their best friend. They obviously know if their shop buddy that builds in the same shop as them is running. But other than that, I don't like talking about drivers just because I know how particular some of our North Dakota drivers are about that.
Yeah.
Which is fine, to each their own. But it does need to be known that we're going to be private with it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's nobody else. If you're going to come to the show, it's nobody else. You tell who you want to tell. It ain't going to come from us.
Right.
But we're going to need to have those numbers for some of these classes in order to present them to the place that is hosting the Derby and say, this is how many we have pre-registered for the show. So they agree to go ahead with the class, versus putting a bunch of money out for a payout and then just hope that enough show up. Because they would either, one, rather cancel the class, or take that money and throw it to another class where there is twice as many pre-registered. So, food for thought. Again, we'll talk about that more in detail with either the people that we've been having some people reaching out to us already saying they're not going to be able to make the meeting, giving us their thoughts and opinions on certain things. But we also know there's a lot of people that said they want to come to the meeting and they want to talk about it there. So we'll wait until after next Saturday, see what comes out of that, and then we'll be talking with, we still have to talk with all the venues and go over some stuff with those guys. But just bottom line is there's going to be some changes made for fillers for 2023.
Yep. And if you've seen, but we did add Tioga a week ago, so it's not like we won't add shows at this point. If you're listening, and it doesn't even have to be a derby. If you're listening and you got a motorsports event, or even if you got an idea that you just want to pitch to us, I get that quite often. People call and say, "Hey, what do you think if we did this?" Or "What do you if you think?" I know one guy called here. I think it was early fall. He's like, "We should do a huge swap meet sometime throughout the year." I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea, but we'll find out the logistics, but." Just reach out to us. That's what our business is all about, making things happen and promoting.
Like Mitch said, one thing I'll add to that, we're like he said, we're not saying we're not adding any other shows. There's been a conversation or two had about a different place, but problem is dates. If you look, once dates comes out, you'll see our schedule and how jam-packed, it is already, especially in July. There's only so much room to work with, and we can't be in two places at once. So we can't be in one western side of the state on one day and the very next day be on the north side of the state. It just don't work that well to get everything set up, tear it down, move it, and get it set back up again. We talked about our 6 shows we got for this year. Those are confirmed. Those will be happening. Will there be another one? We'll see.
Yep.
But those ones are confirmed.
Yep. And these venues that keep getting us, year after year, shows that we're not there to do a bad job. We're trying to do the best we can. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made a business out of it.
Right.
So we're here to make the best of it, and none of us are trying to screw anybody. I don't want to. I'm there to have just as much fun as you because I enjoy doing this. But at the end of the day, we still running a business. Clean and cut.
We enjoy the sport, and we just want to keep them going.
Absolutely.
Try to run a fair shows everywhere we go, whether it's a car show or demolition derby or whatever. We just want a fair show and keep them alive.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Help out all these small towns. Small towns everywhere, they're kind of struggling for getting events going.
Like you said,
just trying to help them.
Well, a lot of, the derbies, it's all across the state, I guess, but for a while there, the shows, luckily, not just us, but across the whole state, we've got some younger people stepping in, trying to keep shows going, which is obviously good, but I think that was part of the problem there for a while is, the same people that are running it or were running it up until the past couple of years have been running it for 20 years already, a guy can only do that for so long. You got to hope at some point somebody else comes in and tries to fill those shoes so they can step away, and do other things later on in life. But at the end of the day, that's kind of how we ended up being who we are.
Yeah, we still drive. We just got to find shows that we're not doing. Brady, I think, drove a couple times last year. I drove once. We got Austin behind some handlebars on a 4-wheeler at our mud run obstacle course we did in Zap.
Yeah.
So
He's going to run next year, though.
I might just jump in a van or something.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll probably be out there. Then.
Sounds like a good, easy build, and I don't have to work on it for 2 or 3 months.
No.
So,
goddamn van. Speaking of which, you're going to touch on the van class. That's an easy build, guys. You and a buddy could knock that out in a weekend.
Yep.
Pretty easily. For me, I got my sister into it. Now she loves it. My brother drives compacts, but that is like the new, in my eyes, that is like the new starting class. Not to say any other class can't be, but you get somebody. The fact that you can build one of them vans that quick and that cheap. You can still get them all over the place for relatively cheap. A lot of people, for the most part, you probably know somebody who's got a van sitting around.
right.
And for how easy of a build that is, that's an easy one to get somebody new into and figure out whether they like it or not. And on the same token, you got guys that maybe that have been derbying for a while that want to jump into a van just because it's the class that they're not worried about the money in.
Right.
It's like where they're truly out there just to have a good time, have fun. I mean, like, well, look at the last show I ran earlier. It was only three.
Right.
It was only three of us, but we had a blast.
Right.
My sister burned me, but whatever.
Hey, that's all right.
I burned myself, kind of. I guess I got pushed and then got broke. But either way, check out that van class, guys.
Yeah, and
Last year, for instance, we did build a one raffle van, and the guy who happened to drive it, he was addicted right away.
Yeah.
He had a blast,
And
he built another compact car for our shows, and I mean, he had a blast with it. You know, why not start it off, see if you like to go out and beat somebody up with a cheap, easy build. You know, find a van, fuel cell, battery box, a little bit of cage material, strip it out, run it.
yeah,
Make it safe to run. Go have a
there's-
blast.
I think there's going to be some more raffle vans in the future. So,
Yeah, that's gonna have to happen.
you know, it was a big hit, and it was super fun to watch him drive that.
Oh man, that guy was crazy.
Yeah, that was super
He was
fun.
having a good time, that's for sure.
You know,
Anybody be having a good time, win a free
Win a free
van to
van.
derby you didn't have to build.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I had a good time, but
But even though I'm going to touch on Brady's point here a little earlier. Even though that we're young, I don't think we necessarily. There's still quite a bit of years of experience. You know, I've been in the derby scene for, I think this is my 14th year, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're fresh to the derby world. I've been around basically all sorts of builds. I guess I can touch on where I started. You know, I started in New Salem, was my first derby. I don't know what year it was. My old man ran for, gosh, I know he watches these, so he's going to be, but like mid-70s, 80s, 90s, somewhere in there. My dad ran. You know, I seen videos, trophies, things like that. And then a few other Glen Ellyn people ran. So it got me into it, got me hooked. You know, I've ran anywhere from the county shows up to, you know, the bigger national events, you know. So it's not like we're fresh to it. That's how I met Austin way back in New England.
New England one year. I only ran the compact class. I started back after I turned 18. Parents kind of thought I was a little crazy for starting, you know,
Yeah.
so waited till I was 18. Built my own. It was a Chevy Cavalier. Had an absolute blast with it. I ran for a few years after that, and then just with other things going on in life, I stepped back. Moved to Bismarck, and it was just more difficult, you know, building the car in the driveway. I still made it happen, just more difficult. And after that, I've just had some other life events happen, and you know, now it's, instead of driving cars, I'm here hopefully to watch other guys have a good time and wreck some stuff, you know, and have a good day with, or a good time with it, and you know,
yeah, and help me build cars.
and
Austin helps me
help
build a
Brady,
lot.
help Brady, and hopefully the front bumpers stick when I weld them on.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, we got like,
for 2.
right.
0 for 2. Well, that Mustang, that was just a rusty car.
So there is some experience. I've ran most all classes other than trucks. So, and I've built kind of, well, did a van. I guess I can add that to the list of builds. But anywhere from mod, limited, stock, kind of done it all already. So, been around it, a lot of it, and I've been around some good builders and drivers. So,
God, we got some builders here in North Dakota.
yeah, we got some great builders.
Big shout out to all the guys that ran Blizzard Bash. Holy hell, you got a lot of good drivers down there.
Yeah, I got to plug Brett because Brett texted me and said I didn't plug him in the last episode. So, you know, Brett Stringer, he's a good driver too.
Thanks for the sport, Brett.
But no, I mean, I just a rough number. There was, you know, 20 plus drivers from North Dakota down at Blizzard Bash, and as we all know, it's one of the bigger shows around. I think here in the near future, there's going to be, as you guys seen with Sam Williams,
Yep.
going to be something big right south of us. And hopefully, you know, if we grow and make things better, there's always a chance we can hook up with Sam in the future. I don't think it's a not gonna happen idea. It's just we're not quite there yet. But
No.
I think we could be.
You gotta have the venue for it.
Gotta have the venue for it. And maybe just have to go run that show, test it out, test the waters. So it's close to home, you know. Last few shows I've been to have been 12 to 20 hour drives, and I'm kind of over that, especially with $5.40 fuel.
Yeah.
and 6 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, it's a little unrealistic to travel in
Yeah.
Derby these days. I mean, my thoughts anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, we go to Blizzard Bash. We just don't run, but we still spend all the money to go down there.
Right.
But anyway, not to jump too far off subject here, but if you're going to be something we're going to bring up at the meeting, this isn't a 2023 thing so much as it would be a 2024 thing. Some of the shows we have scheduled for 2023 aren't going to be, once our dates are released, you'll see what I'm talking about, but they're not going to be, they already have different dates selected for 2024. It works a little more favorable, but a lot of these venues that we're trying to work with, you know, and if you have any questions about why the Derby days are the way they are, you know, we'll touch on two of the bigger ones, for instance, just because of the venue, Mandan and Dickinson. You know, there's only so many days out of the calendar year that they have to work with that there isn't something going on. And with us coming in this year, you know, realistically, we need to be 2 years out in order to get a date locked in before all these other different entities are grabbing the same space for their own events.
Right.
Mandan has all their races. They have their monster truck shows. They
Tough
have
trucks.
tough trucks.
Yeah. They have the rodeo. I mean, granted,
Rodeos.
they're building a new facility for it now for the rodeo, but you know, they have to give up the fairgrounds for 2 or 17 days, whatever it is. But and then on top of that, to try and not step on the same day as another show somewhere else in the state or somewhere close to us.
And or our show, you know.
Right.
That's where we kind of ran into the problem with Dickinson. Dickinson wanted to use us. They reached out and we're like, well, you know, we only had so many dates available as well because
Right.
like he said earlier, July is booked. Between everything we got going on,
We have
I don't
five events in July.
Yeah, I don't think there's a free weekend.
No.
No, there's not.
But that's, you know, we had some people calling and asking about days of certain shows, and we're not giving those out yet because there's still some stuff that's up in the air. People, well, don't do it on this weekend because, you know, this, or you're going to be too close to that show, or that's too early in the year. There's already too much going on in August, or, you know, all these different things. I mean, you know, we try to.
Unfortunately, there's only so much we can do on the scheduling.
Yeah, I mean, we try to make, like I said, the biggest thing is one, we don't want to be on the same day as another show, and then trying to find a date that fits into the schedule with that venue and us. You know, like I said, I already mentioned, but Dickinson has so much going on out there. They have that place gets used for so many different things. They've only got, and then the schedule gets, you know, filled in, so they've only got so much time to work with. So, you know, we've got our date for this year, but next for 2024, they've already moved it to a different day because they tried this year for that certain day, couldn't get it. They said, well, 2024, we'll take that. You know, Mandan's kind of the same way. There's only so much going on to where we're not going to step on another show and have one on a Sunday when there's a Saturday, you know, 50 miles from us or 100 miles from us or whatever. There's only so much you can work with. So if you don't like a show date, you know, I'll apologize in advance, but we got to work with the cards we're dealt, and especially with these bigger venues, you know, they've got a schedule with a lot of different entities that they all have to appease. So you get the days you get. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up because I got a text about that on the way here.
Yeah.
About when a certain show was, and I said, not yet, but
Yeah, it'll be soon. It'll be very soon when we release a lot of that. I think in the coming week you'll see our point structure get rolled out.
Yep.
And then, you know, you probably won't see the money side of it. You'll probably just see the point structure side of it. The money side probably won't get rolled out till roughly the first week of January.
correct.
That's when we gave businesses, you know, a deadline when we want to hear back.
Through January 1.
Yep. So that's us. That's Timeless. That's what we do. That's why we're here, trying to help make it better for everybody, the youth, the older, everyone. everyone who loves motorsports, right?
Absolutely.
So we do have some pretty sweet guests coming up here in the next couple weeks. Got to stay tuned. Got to subscribe. Once you subscribe, you can always watch it. So thanks everybody for watching. Anyone else? That's it.
See you at the rules meeting on Saturday.
See you at the rules meeting.
Absolutely.